Welcome to the Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place. Here to challenge you to think out of the box, your hosts, Felipe Mejia and Diego Corzo.
Yo, Diego, what's up, man? Super excited for today's show. So today we actually have Brenna. People follow her on Instagram, but I don't think she talks about it a lot. She talks about a 6-figure flip that she did with her first deal, which is ridiculous because we've actually now had 2 people do that. Amy Swayze did that as well. But I'm super excited about this because Brenna talks about the ups and downs of doing this and how she tried to paint the whole house by herself.
Yeah, no, and one of my favorite parts, Felipe, too, was that she shared how she did her flip, now she's house hacking, and she just bought 2 more out-of-state properties, like all in her 20s. I'm like, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's not what I was doing in my early 20s, but I'm super proud of her because it sounds like she took action because she was super scared to start this way, but then just hit the ground running after that first deal. And if people would just do that first deal, I think that would help them so much, like getting started in real estate, and that it's not as scary as people think. So before any more ado, let's bring in Brenna. Let's do it. Hey, Brenna, thank you so much for coming on the Rat Race to 5 podcast. We're super excited that you're here. Seriously, thanks for taking the time. How are you?
I am great. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We're really excited to have you. I've been following you on Instagram for quite a while. We've actually had some conversations, and I love seeing what you do. So give us a little background for those who don't know who you are, who've been sleeping under a rock and not on Instagram, right? Who are you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to dig into that as well.
All right, perfect. I mean, basically, to just jump right into it, I am 29 years old. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm now a full-time realtor. I actually just quit my job last summer. So I do real estate full-time and have been obviously jumping into the investing game. And yeah, that's me a little bit.
What'd you do before real estate?
Oh my God, what didn't I do before real estate? I was a nanny. I worked at my local TV station. I did the morning news production. So that was where I was at before. I was getting up at 2 a.m. and working 3 to 11 a.m. at my news station.
Wow, man. And so now what caused you to leave all of that to go into real estate?
So actually, I think it's been 3.5 years now that I've been a realtor. My neighbor got me into it. And honestly, I feel bad even saying this, but I was like one of those people that I was like, why would I be a real estate agent? Like, that's just like last ditch effort in life. Like I had a bad mindset. But my neighbor forced me to do it with him, like showed me the ropes of it. He unfortunately has passed away, but he really sparked my love and interest in real estate. And once I started seeing what you can create with it and the freedom that you have, I was just instantly addicted to it.
Quick question. So then what was the point last summer that made you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this full time? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I was a software developer for 2 years before I left my job and went into being a realtor full time, which is what I do.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So to rewind a little bit, 5 years ago, I actually had stage 4 cancer. Totally fine now, but I feel like that just rocked my world. And after that, I just always felt like I was meant for more. Like I did not want to wake up every day and work for someone else and just live this average life. So I was constantly looking for new ways to, grow and just do something different. And I am such a hustler. Like I have always worked multiple jobs, always been, in the working field. So last year when I was working the news station, babysitting, and my real estate started picking up and I was, doing more consistent clients, I was like, I just can't handle this anymore. And I hate working and having to be somewhere on someone else's time. And I also was making literally $12 an hour, which is embarrassing. So I was like, I am out. And finally one of my friends was like, Brenna, what are you waiting for? What's it going to take for you to just give this up and go into this full time? And I was like, you know what? I'm just doing it. And I quit babysitting. I quit my job at the news station, and here I am.
Here we are.
Here we are.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of times people have that like awakening moment. Now, unfortunately, yours was pretty, intense with battling through cancer. But taking that back, I think we all do have our story of like what that looks like for us. I know Brandon Turner, for example, talks about him carrying a toilet through the house or something, and he was like, "I'm done with this. Like, I'm not doing this anymore." And I think a lot of investors do have that pivot point. But let's take it back a little bit more. Next, I want to get into like who you were in high school, who you are in college, kind of like your growing up years. But before we do that, what does your portfolio look like now, or flips and all that really quick, and then let's take it back. But just so that people know who you are in that regard.
Okay. So right now I currently live in a house hack. I'm in my closet in my unit. So I have a house hack that I live in. I have flipped one house, which we made over $230,000 on, which I know that was my first flip. So everyone gives me for, sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but gives me grief for, you're never going to get that again. Like, that was the worst first deal you could have got. But yes, that was my first deal. Actually, a couple hours ago, I just closed on 2 out-of-state properties, like literally a couple hours ago, which I'm freaking out about, but so excited. So 2 single families in North Carolina, and I have a flip I'm closing on Monday here.
Whoa, that's amazing.
It all happened very fast.
Okay, so we're going to dig into that. But before we do that, let's give our listeners some meat and potatoes of like where you came from. Like, who were you in high school? What cliques did you hang out with? Diego, we should do a segment where we guess this part for people. Totally get it wrong.
Oh my God, please go. Guess. What do you
No. I would feel really bad if I messed this up.
Right?
No, I think it's funny. Go for it.
All right, we're going to go for it. I think Brenna, you were in band and you played the trombone. Yep.
100%.
And then from there, you hung out with the gothic chicks and guys, and you worked at Hot Topic and then got fired for chewing the gum under the table.
That's it. You nailed it right on the head. That's me.
Spot on. Brenna, who were you in high school? What's up?
Okay. I was a cheerleader. I was very outgoing, voted most likely to be famous. Like, as you could probably see my Instagram, I love sharing and just being over the top. I was also very weird. I don't know why people liked me. I don't know how I had friends. But yeah, that was me in high school. Cheerleading was my life. And yeah, cheerleading.
So you cheered really all through high school.
All through high school, all through college. So I went to Framingham, which is a state college here, and then transferred to New York, where things got wild. I had been introduced to a world of going out and partying that we didn't have here. And then unfortunately, my last year in college, or the second to last year, is when I got diagnosed with cancer. So that kind of sucked. But before that, it was the New York City lifestyle.
Oh my goodness. And did you know anyone growing up in real estate?
No, just my neighbor. My neighbor was the only one, and he always was like, you should be selling $1 million homes and on billboards, and you should be, and he wanted me to be the weather girl. Like, I didn't know anyone that did real estate. I didn't know anything about it. Like I said, I always had like a weird like vibe towards it. Like, oh, that's just for people that didn't go to college or like didn't want to do anything, which is so disgusting. Like, I can't even believe I thought like that. Yeah. But again, the whole mindset transformation I've had the last couple of years, I'm glad I'm not that person anymore. Clearly, I'm a real estate agent, so.
I don't think I had a thought about real estate agents when I was younger. Like, I just thought it was a pretty cool profession, and I was like, oh, they have an office and they get to go out and do whatever they want. Like, I never realized like how much work it is until I met Diego, actually. I'm like, geez, like you got to really keep these things together. I always tell Diego, I'm like, dude, I'm going to be a realtor. And he's like, no, please don't ever be a realtor. Why am I a bad realtor, Diego?
He cannot be a realtor. Mm-mm.
Why? What would you do?
No, it's just too much for him. I just know him. It'll be too much. Yeah.
I would after the second showing, I'd stress out.
Yeah. And then he'll be like, "Are you gonna buy this or not, dude? It's a great deal. Just buy it now."
Just go.
You're not
Just go.
allowed. Yeah, just go.
That's exactly what I would do. I'd be like, are we putting in this offer or not, bro? Because I gotta go. That's hilarious.
So
You're wasting
then,
my time.
Exactly.
So what got you then into, like, what did you do first? Did you get your license first, or did you start to flip some properties?
I got my license first. And then I started, honestly, right when I got my license, my goal was to flip houses. So I started looking at them, and my brother is still very much involved with me. But I had no clue what I was doing. I actually remember the moment I found like podcasts and stuff, and I was like, holy, I could do this, like after hearing them. But for the longest time, I was just going out there looking at houses, trying to comp them out and stuff myself. I did not know what I was doing at all.
And then so from that perspective, was it a home that was in your area, or what was that process that you did to get started?
So my first almost flip was a house that I just found on the MLS. I went out there, I looked at it. I had a bunch of contractors come with me. I priced it out, and I actually got my offer accepted on it and ended up pulling out of it because me and my brother were too scared and afraid that we were going to lose money. So I feel like I've lost so much money in the beginning of this, like of my real estate investing, just because we were scared. And we could have easily done it, but I was just like, oh, like, let's just wait. Let's just lose the $1,000 and we'll wait till something better comes.
And so then what cost the one that you guys did find, that like freaking 200,000 and over in profit? What caused that to be like, okay, you know what? This is going to be the deal. This is going to be the one. We're done being afraid. We're just going to take action.
Okay, so this deal actually, my friend's mom unfortunately had to sell her house super fast, and she had known that I was out there looking for flips. So that's like one of my huge things is like I have to keep talking about it and putting it out there, because she would have never known to talk to me about it. And I was at the news station when she texted me, and I was like, guys, I think I'm gonna have a flip house, you know? And I called my boyfriend's father-in-law, I guess, I don't know. And he does flip houses, and he was like, let's do it. Like, let's do the deal together. And we did it. We got under agreement. 2 weeks later, we had purchased it before it went to auction, and I was just thrown into it. Although we were partnered on it, I was down. He's an hour away. So I was down here by myself with contractors painting all the things. And it was the biggest learning experience ever, to say the least.
That's interesting because let's take a step back real quick. So I think it's really important for people to realize what you said about putting it out there, that you wanted to get into real estate and do a flip, right? Like you probably told everyone, you know. Can you tell us a little bit about how that worked for you? Telling everyone, and why was that important to do that?
Yeah, so I had just been really learning about like manifesting and speaking things into existence. So I was on social media all the time, like, I'm a house flipper, I'm a real estate investor, you need to sell your house, call me. Even posting real estate stuff as well. So people started to just ask me or tell me about properties. So yeah, that, like you said, that's really such an important piece for anyone. If you're an agent or an investor, you have to just tell everyone. And even if like I thought I was being annoying, I just had to keep going, because maybe someone that needed to hear it missed it and would have called me, but called someone else. So yeah, I was just all over the internet about house flipping and being a real estate agent.
I think that's important because a lot of times people were like, okay, I want to get into real estate. And then they like keep it themselves, and they're internally just like learning, but no one knows that that's what they want, and deals can be passed by. And we all know here as investors that the best deals are done off market and between communication. Like when it goes to realtor.com or something, it's already passed through so many people. It's like, okay, that deal is going to be super high priced and there's barely any meat on the bone. Yeah, we all know that the best meat is definitely within conversation.
Yep. And shortly after that, I don't even know why I didn't think of this. I had a house before that I had went and looked at for someone. It was would have been another one of these great deals. Total flip, needed a full renovation. And I went there and told the lady that I could list it or sell it to someone for her. But even though I was still looking for flip houses, so I don't know why it just didn't click in my head. And as soon as I got the Situate house under agreement, I called her back up and was like, hey, like, do you still need to sell your house? I would love to buy it off you. I'm like, why did I let that pass me by? I don't know. My brain wasn't thinking the right way.
Yeah. What I do like about it though is that a lot of people would say, "Oh, you got that opportunity, you got lucky," but I don't think that's luck. I feel like, because what you were saying is like you told everybody and their mother that you were in real estate, right? And I feel like that gave you that opportunity to be able to find a deal like that. So that's awesome, and that's something, like we said earlier, that not many people do.
Yeah, and I definitely, like, there would have been so many times when that deal with the big flip that we did do that would have been easy for me to just sell it to someone else or walk away from it because I couldn't figure out things by myself. But I was so persistent with talking to different people and figuring out the numbers and maybe getting a different contractor or whatever I had to do to make it work. And that's kind of who I am too as a person. Like, if I want to do something, it's happening. There's no way anything is stopping me. Like, I will figure out how to get it done, which I've seen in every single one of the deals I've done this far.
Yeah. So you put it into you put the home under contract, and then what was your role that you did compared to your business partner?
Not to discredit him, but I did everything.
Cool. Okay.
He would, like, I wouldn't have been able to do the deal without him because he had the money lender. He had a private person that he got money, like, for his deal. So he took care of that. He's also a real estate attorney. So obviously that was very helpful. But after that, like, I planned everything. I hired the contractors. I was like the GC of the project, basically. And I had never done it before. I, listen to podcasts and watch it on TV, but when you're actually doing it, it's a whole different project. And I was one of those people, like I said, I'm doing it. I can do this myself. I'm going to paint the whole place myself to save $4,000, $5,000.
Mm-hmm. How did that go?
Went well. That went really, really, really well. Just kidding. No, it was awful. I cried every day in the house. It was miserable. I was paying people in pizza and beer to come help me on the weekends. Like, it was bad. All the trim, all the doors.
That sounds terrible.
So a lot of people would not know in their first deal, right? Like, how to analyze it to know, okay, you know what, this deal, because it was your first deal. So how did you go by and see, okay, this is going to cost $30,000 to renovate or $50,000 to do all that? What did you do?
So I had a contractor come in and kind of give me a rough idea of what it would cost. And basically, I blew the entire budget too. That's something everyone should know. Like, this deal, although we killed it, we made a ton of money. The budget started at $70,000, quickly grew to $100,000, and ended at $130,000. So, yeah. But imagine if I stayed on budget. My partner was very graceful with me, because he just kind of let me learn and let me go. So this was a great deal to learn, right? Because there was no way we were going to lose on it no matter what. But, like, you can't do that on normal flips. You can't go that far over budget or you'd be screwed. So I'm taking what I learned on that into this next flip with me because, I was like, let's move the staircase. Let's open this wall. Let's do, everything.
Oh, man. That's a lot of work already.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Staircase for me, I'm like, holy crap.
It's interesting, Brenna. I hear that a lot, like, because I've talked to a lot of investors. I've interviewed a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, like, it ended up going over rehab cost, but we still did a lot of money. So I'm always wondering, like, I wonder if actually, like, going over rehab cost, like, actually makes the play. But you had such a great deal, so I guess it didn't matter. What's really cool, though, is that you talked about that your business partner really didn't do much. He just came up with the financing. Diego and I actually financed a flip for one of our Rat Race to 5 members for our mastermind. Belen, she's awesome. If you don't follow her on Instagram, Belen the Builder, she's out there crushing it. And she's, we gave her $100,000 for a flip that she's doing. And I think it's going to come out fantastic. And she's got such an eye for it. But Diego and I aren't doing anything. Yeah, we were just hard money lenders on it. But still, even if we would have just been partners, there's not much that we would have been able to do. And I'm actually glad that she's handling because she's got a way better eye for it than we would. So I think that's really cool. But can you talk about some of the lessons that you learned doing this flip for other rehabbers that might be listening to the show?
Yes, I have them written down here. Okay, number
That's
one
great.
is don't try and paint and do things yourself when you're working 2 other jobs, because that's not going to happen. That was like the biggest thing I regret, because it caused me so much stress and so much like anxiety over it that it just was not worth it at all. My other one was to make sure your contractor has like a team of people. So my contractor was awesome. He worked so well with me. He did everything perfectly, was great, but it was just him and just me. Like I was out there demoing walls, helping do stuff, and it took like 7 months to do. And it should not, again, this was a lucky, quote, lucky deal where we had, the time and all that. But yeah, if this was another regular flip, I would have needed a team of people. So definitely don't try and, do all the work yourself. Make sure your contractor has a team. I also have on here, just shut off like podcasts and stuff and just take the action. Just do it. Cause that was another thing that I kept getting in my head about, like, I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing that wrong. Just go.
Quick question, just to put it into perspective. How much was that deal? How much was it, and how much did you sell it for?
So we bought it for $207,000, which in this town is like a really good deal. Property down here is expensive. So we bought it for 207, and we ended up selling it for 655.
Wow.
Yeah, we spent like 130. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. That's got to be a record somewhere.
Please put it on the record books, because I was bad. And imagine if I didn't go over the budget. So what did we make? Like around 230,000 off of it.
You would have made probably 260 or 250 if you wouldn't have gone over budget. What's interesting though is I do think you ruined yourself, because that's going to be hard to replicate.
That's what everyone keeps saying. They're like, you're screwed. I'm like, it's okay. I needed that first deal just to do it, and I had the like chillness to really learn and go through the whole deal. But yeah, it was wild.
And so what was the like this deal? It sounds like you bought it for like a third of what it was worth. Was it that the owner needed the cash right away? Like, what was it that she would sell a home at that price?
Yeah. So basically she had to sell it really quick. It was like a foreclosure situation. And she only had 2 weeks to sell it. And they actually gave us the number of 200,000. And then there was like a betterment that had to be paid off. So we went up to 207. So yeah, we just ran with it. We're like, all right, let's close it. And that's where my partner, he came in, he had the money guy. That's where I was kind of like, okay, what do? I have this house. I don't know how I'm going to get funding in 2 weeks. I don't have a lender. So I just called him and was like, hey, I have this deal. I was actually trying to wholesale it at first. Thank God I didn't do that.
Ooh.
You would have probably wholesale for 100,000 and.
Yeah.
No, knowing, I don't think so. I don't think you would have known what you were doing. No offense. But at that point, I think you would have gave it away. Like for $10,000, you would have been like, yes, I'll take it.
Which is what I basically did with the deal I was talking about, that I just kind of was like, yeah, I can list it for you. Like, that's why when I put all the things together, I was like, what? I got to call that lady back. Why did I let that house go?
Exactly. That's insane. So so you did this amazing flip. You netted just way too much money. Like I can't, my head doesn't even compute that amount. What happens next? I mean, house hacking, and now you have 2 out-of-state properties. What? How did that happen?
Yeah. It really just snowballed right after that. So the profits that I got from the flip house, I wired the money directly into my house hack that we have now. So I didn't even see like 60 grand of it. It just went from that closing table to this house hack that we have. We renovated this house. I have tenants, my cousin that lives upstairs, which is awesome. And we actually make $15 a month for living here. So it's really cool. Yes. And so it's really awesome. Like, especially coming from paying rent, I'm like, it's working. Yeah. And then I actually, not to talk about all the good things, I lost out on a deal in Virginia. I lost $1,000 on that because I had to pull out of it in order to buy the house hack. But I was like, it's probably better for me to have a place to live rather than another out of state investment. So yeah, I lost out on that one. But now, literally today, I just closed on 2 deals in North Carolina. And on Monday, I closed on another flip, which is in the exact same town where I did my first one, which is
That's awesome.
from a friend who heard and saw me on Facebook doing all this flipping and stuff and was like, hey, I have to sell my house. Do you want it?
So what do the numbers look like on those out-of-state properties? What's your goal with them? Give us the nuts and bolts on it.
Honestly, I'm pretty terrified. So if there's anyone else out there who's just starting out-of-state rentals, like, just do it, because I all day have been like panicking. I'm like, what did I just do? Both houses together cost $47,000, which going from the market here to that is insane to me. 2 single family homes. And my goal with them is just to either burr them or do your strategy where you use your line of credit, Felipe. So that's the goal with
that's
those.
my favorite.
Yeah. They start renovations on Monday on them. And yeah, it's going to be.
You have a good property manager out there?
I do. I think he's been great so far.
Yeah.
So only time will tell. But yeah, I have all of that set up. So it's been crazy just getting all that together, the insurance, all the behind the scenes things that you don't really think about.
Yeah. Question here. What did you, so how did you pick the North Carolina area, and how did you pick that property manager? Did you use a realtor, or did you just buy the homes from a wholesaler? What was that process like?
So I actually, I think Felipe, Erin, I might have introduced you guys a little bit, but yeah. I work with her a lot, and she just kind of sends deals to me. And I think I saw this one online from a wholesaler, and she sent it to me, and I was just like, let's do it. Cause I also had passed up on so many deals for months and months and months. And it was like that analysis paralysis thing where I just kept being like, no, that's not good. That's not good. So for this one, I was just like, you know what? It's freaking $47,000.
Well, when you put it up next to, 120 grand profit for you, what does look like a good deal? I'm just kidding.
Right?
It's true. Well, and I was just scared, but I also I don't think I raised, but my friend's mom agreed to be a private lender for me. So that's something cool too that I've been working on. So she's never invested in real estate or anything, but wanted to get into it. So she's lending my down payment money for my flip that's coming up, and she's financing the full purchase of those properties in North Carolina.
You seem to be able to pretty easy to raise funds. How do you have those conversations? Because I know our listeners are going to be like, wow, she's able to get money pretty simple. And that tends to be what holds most people back. Can you talk a little bit about those conversations that you have for that?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of explained to them what real estate can do for them and what I've learned through it. And I think when people have just money sitting in the bank, the interest rates that they're getting compared to what they could get with, investing and how quickly it turns over. Yeah. She's my friend, so it was a kind of an easier conversation. But I definitely think if someone's out there kind of thinking of someone in their head, just ask them, like, hey, would you ever be interested in real estate investing? Because you'd be shocked at people that are interested. I have so many people that are like, how do you do this? And I'm like, listen, I'm still learning. You could easily learn as much as I am. It's just, yeah.
That's amazing. So you did a great flip. You have now some out-of-state investments that you're going to do. I actually do know Erin. She's an awesome person. We've worked together on some wholesale deals in like Clarksville and some other stuff that we're going to be looking into. She's really good. I know that she's got a mastermind or a private group, I believe, that she helps with out-of-state investing. And she works with a lot of wholesalers. So she gets some great, fantastic off-market deals. And she analyzes the mess out of them before she takes one, just because she wants to like save her name, which I think is great. Like, more power to her. So I wish she would take more down herself. She gives a lot to her mentees. So I think that's really, really good of her. So yeah, definitely trust what she sends out. I know that it's really good stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's huge too, because I know you guys do mentoring and stuff. Like, if someone is new and listening to this, you have to get into some sort of mentoring, because
you have to.
You have to. It's one thing to flip a house by yourself and whatever, but when you want to get real rental properties, being a part of a group or a mentorship or something, it's a game changer. And I honestly would not have bought these properties without being a part of one. So yeah, I definitely think anyone who's like, I think I could do this, like just join one of those, either Felipe's or, the rat race one. I'm coming in there next. So
there you go. We would love to have you, Brenna. I'd love to have you. It's interesting. I always tell people when they ask me the whole mastermind question, I kind of place it like, well, one, you want to make sure you're picking the right position to be in, right? Not just a mastermind that's going to upsell you on stuff, but kind of treat it like what I tell people about the gym. Like there's something about going to the gym by yourself versus going with a partner, right? Like you're going to get a way better workout when you go with someone else. You're going to maybe learn something new. You're going to really have that motivation rather than trying to grind it out yourself. Like motivation is only really going to take you so far, but accountability is going to keep you going. And not to uplift ours as much, but I'm going to uplift ours pretty much. We have Rat Race Defy in our mastermind. And there's a gentleman that was silent in our mastermind for a while. He's an awesome guy. I'll just say his first name because we don't have his permission, but his name is Philip. And he was really quiet at first. And later we found out that this gentleman owns like a ton of rental properties. He's like the CEO of a management company. They manage over like 1,000 homes or something. And we were like, wait, what is he doing here? And we asked him, like we straight up, Brenna, we were like, yo,
hello?
Why are you here? And he's like, the accountability. He's like, I know a lot of this stuff, but it keeps me sharp. Like it keeps me sharp. And he said, since he joined Rat Race, this is going to blow your mind. He's doubled his portfolio since he joined. And we're like, wait, from us? He's like, yeah, I just kind of took action on what you guys were talking about. And I already knew it, but it just kept me accountable Monday and Wednesday. And I was like, wow, like that makes a lot of sense, right? So even someone at that level was like, I doubled my portfolio since joining Rat Race. And we were like, are you going to leave us now? He's like, no, I want to double it again. So I was like, this is great. So yeah, I exactly. The importance of mentors is really good. And just finding the right position of where you fit. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get off that bandwagon. You flip properties. You're going to do some out of state. What's next for Brenna?
Ooh, good question. I really want to get at least 5,000 this year in like passive income. I want to, that's one of my goals. I originally was saying I wanted to get 12 properties, but I feel like judging the way I'm going right now, I can't handle too much at once because I'll get way overwhelmed. Like these properties actually in North Carolina were supposed to close in January. They just closed today in March. So it's crazy. You can't really predict what's going to happen. You just have to kind of go with the flow of things. And that's something I'm working on too, just like letting go of needing to control everything.
You could say that again for Diego. That'd be great.
Just let go, let it go. Like
I've been trying to get him like assistant or forever. He works so hard, but it's interesting you say that, the way that you said cash flow versus number of doors. I think a lot of times people do get caught up in this, and I know Diego will piggyback on this. Like a lot of times we're like, okay, I just want to get 20 doors this year. And like, that's what I want to do. And yada, yada. And I always like harp on, I think you should have a cash flow goal more than doors number. Cause I can get 1,000 doors and cash flow $50. Like that just doesn't seem worth my time. Or I can get half the properties strategically looking for rental properties that are going to do double, triple in cash flow. Right. So I think having a cash flow number is more important than a number of doors. Diego, what do you think about that? Because I like what she said.
Yeah, I like that too, because at the end of the day, it's like, depending on what you want to do with a $5,000 goal, right? At the end of the day, if that gives you a level of financial independence, then I'm a big believer in going for that rather than just trying to get 20 properties, because if that's the goal, you may be buying properties just to buy properties so that you can hit the goal, instead of trying to focus, okay, how can I maximize the cash flow in this property? Because at that point you're asking yourself different questions.
Exactly. And I learned that from you, Felipe. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel the same way. Like, I really do believe that you should maximize cash flow in a rental property before moving on to the next one. Like, what upgrades do you need to do? What renovations should you be doing to maximize the cash flow per property? Because if not, you're going to end up with, 80% properties and then having to get a sixth one to meet 100% cash flow. Or what if you just went back and looked at what you had, maximized your portfolio, renting out storage space, or I don't know, whatever you can do to upgrade, to up the rents to its max capacity, and then move on to the next one. Then you're going to have, 100% renting portfolio that's going to maximize your cash flow. I think that's one of the best strategies that you can do with what you got, because a lot of times we're also waiting for money to get the next deal or whatever the case may be, right? So it's like, okay, maximize what you do have.
Agreed. Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Brenna, we talked a little bit about your past, what you're doing now, and your future. What advice would you give to anyone out there that's looking to do what you're doing? And if I could even dare to say, what specific would you give to the women that are scared to jump into what society calls a man's role? Like, you're crushing it. What would you say to those people that's going to be listening and like, man, I want to do what she did?
Yeah, honestly, I have a little bit of like imposter syndrome even being here, like on this podcast with you guys, because I can't even believe I've come this far. So some advice I would have for anyone is to get over yourself and know that you can do this. Like, anyone can do this. It's a mindset, right? You have to like know that you're willing and able to do it and just take the action. So, listen to the podcast, but at some point shut them off and just go do a deal, because you're not going to learn by listening. You're going to learn by doing. So my advice for people or women specifically is, we can do this. Like, come on, don't doubt yourself. And really just for people to go out there and take action. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I think that's something that I've learned. Erin actually called me smart the other day, and I was like, my heart, like, no one's ever called me that before. Like, I am not a smart person. I have dyslexia. Like, I shouldn't be able to do this, but I'm doing it. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. Get yourself a good mentor and just get out there and take action. You're going to learn so much when you're just doing the deals.
Yeah. And quick question, what about your favorite books that have helped you in your journey?
Great question.
Ooh, this is very untraditional. I literally hate reading, and I haven't read any books.
You don't read. That's probably why you're doing so good, though, because you're like not listening to all these rules that you're going to find. You're like, no.
I can't. Like, that is everyone's like, just read 10 minutes a day. I cannot do it. I just don't enjoy it. It's like I said, I have like dyslexia. So I'm like, I can't focus. But I do like podcasts. I'll listen to audiobooks. I listen to Think and Grow Rich, which is a really great book. I think that's very traditional, and I just love podcasts. I just listen to them all the time, and especially when I was renovating the house, I would just be in there like going through podcasts. And I think following like you guys on social media and stuff, that's how I've learned a lot of the stuff too, from YouTube, and just following people that I'm inspired by, and kind of just like copycatting them. I'm like, okay, they're doing this, so I can do that. Let me try that next. Yeah. So I'm not a big
I love that. I do that all the time. You're not a big person. It's funny, when I first started reading books, Brenna, one of the things that was hard for me was like staying focused. So I would like read a paragraph and like, wait, what did I just read? So I went back and read it. So like I started strengthening that muscle, but man, reading was not my forte. It wasn't until I actually found something like I enjoyed to read that I got into reading. But you're right. Podcasts have been what really helps me out the most. And this is going to be probably one of my favorite ones, because I love that you're crushing it. And that you're going against a lot of the social norms. And that's exactly what we're about. Like, just finding that unconventional investor that's going to crush it. And I can't wait to see where you're going to be at in the next year. I mean, I think you're going to crush this year. And I'm excited to have you on here in a couple, maybe even just a year down the road. I think you're really going to have just a ridiculous amount of rentals and flips. And you're going to be like, $200,000. That's normal.
That's nothing.
That's normal.
300.
That's hilarious. All right. So my last question, and then I'll pass it over to Diego. But my last question for you is, what is a piece of advice that you've picked up so far in your real estate career? Just one piece of advice that you think has hit you the hardest or been the best for you that you would tell someone else. And it could be something you've already said, and that's fine.
Okay. Other than, there is something else I learned about taxes, which is put money away for taxes. So that was a huge thing. And I always had done that, but I hit a new tax bracket and whatever, I screwed myself. So pay attention to your taxes, get someone to handle that stuff for you. And then a piece of advice that I've heard or someone has given to me would just be to trust your numbers and take the action. Because I think I've analyzed so many deals where the numbers worked and I just didn't do it because I was nervous. So if your numbers look good and, you know, it's a deal you can do, just do it.
Yeah. And question for me, because I'm a realtor and I have my investment properties and all this other stuff. How about you? Like, how do you space your time out to be a realtor, do the deals, helping out your clients, and also investing like out of state and house hacking and flipping and all that stuff?
It's honestly not easy, but I really try and stick to a schedule. So, you know, the very routine, getting up early, you know, setting aside time for my clients, setting aside time for myself. A lot of my clients are interested in investing too. So it's fun because they're asking me about it and I get to kind of, you know, explain it to them. But as far as balancing it all, I think honestly, we have the best of both worlds, right? Because our job has to do with what we're trying to build outside of it. So going through the whole process of being a real estate agent, I've learned so much that's helped me with my investing. So I think too, I always hear people that say you don't have to be a realtor to be an investor. But in my case, you know, where I'm a little bit of a slow learner, it has helped me immensely.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why, for example, why I became a realtor, because I didn't know the area. I didn't know anybody when I moved to Austin. And I was like, well, if I want to invest in Austin, I can get my license and learn about the area while I'm helping people on their homes. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think being a realtor would be really cool. I just don't know that I'd have the patience for it.
No, Felipe,
it does take patience. It does take a lot of patience.
I'll stick to sales and what I'm good at. Anyways, Brenna, thank you so much for being on Rat Race to 5 podcast. Is there anything else you want to say before we jump out of here?
No, just thank you guys. And I'm excited to see all of us grow this year. Absolutely.
I'm excited for your podcast to come out. Where can people find you though, if they want to connect with you and learn from what you're doing?
Instagram is probably the best place. Brenna Leigh 21 is my page.
Brenna Leigh 21.
Share everything on there.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Brenna, again, thank you so much for being on the Rat Race to 5 podcast. We will see you next time.
The Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place.